AC4YL, hopefully this is working, ladies. I'm trying to get this set up and my computer won't connect to a proxy tonight, so I'm trying this on my phone. So hopefully my audio is good. If somebody can let me know either coming back on the air or in the chat, that would be awesome. AC4YL.
Sounding good here. Did we lose the Dewdrop in chat? KC8 USB.
Yeah, apparently Dewdrop in is still having an issue. So nfarl.dewdropin.org, it's not a North Fulton problem, it's a Dewdrop in issue. I'm not sure what the story is behind that, but I do know that that is the same chat that the club here uses on Monday Night Tech Talk, and that wasn't working for them this past Monday evening. So I don't know what the backstory is, but I think Lauren posted something in their Facebook group to let them know. I didn't see if any comments came back on that or not, but I'm not sure what's going on. I haven't looked on their website to see if there's anything there either, but yeah, apparently the Dewdrop in chat room is down. I'm not sure what the story is. Well, thanks for coming back to me, Chrissy, and letting me know whether I'm getting you out or not and how I'm sounding. I appreciate the feedback there. And with that, we'll go ahead and kick off the net then without further ado. So welcome, ladies, to the YL.net. This is Catherine, AC4YL, net control for this evening's net. We meet every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Echolink Alara conference node. Be sure to invite all YLs you know to join us. We do ask that only YLs or female ham radio operators check in and participate. The purpose of this net is to encourage you to become and stay active with amateur radio, help each other enhance our operating knowledge and skills, and have fun. YLs who would like to check in, please give us your call sign, name, and current location. And don't forget that there is a 3 to 4 second delay when transmitting through Echolink. This is Catherine, AC4YL. We will now begin taking check-ins. Please call now.
KC8PKY, Linda, Knox, Indiana.
KC8 USB, Chrissy, Toledo, Ohio.
WB1ARU, Ann in Hanover, Massachusetts. AE7MB, Margaret, Battleground, Washington.
WA4YL, Dawn, Bridgemana, Florida.
KC9YL, Ann in Francis Creek.
KW1YL, Brenda, New Haven, Connecticut.
Okay, great. Nice group so far. So let me see if I can go through these real quick, and then we'll let any other ladies who would like to check in do so. So first off, we have Linda, KC8PKY, joining us from Indiana. Chrissy, KC8UFZ, joining us from Ohio. And WB1ARU, joining us from Massachusetts. Margaret, AE7MB, joining us from Washington. Dawn, WA4YL, joining us from Florida. And KC9YL, joining us from Wisconsin. And Brenda, KW1YL, joining us from Connecticut. Do we have any other YLs who'd like to check in? Please call now.
Judy, KE7IXI, from Arizona. Kilo Alpha 1 United Lima November, Nisi, Massachusetts. And the pain is going away. I'm doing just fine. Thank you all. Thank you all for your support.
Victor Alpha 3, Whiskey Hotel Uniform. Good evening, everyone.
Okay, awesome. So also joining us is Judy, KE7IXI. Boy, I'll learn to speak next week in Arizona. Nisi, KA1ULN, joining us in Massachusetts. Glad you're hanging in there, Nisi, with the knee replacement. That's awesome. And Carol, VA3WHU, joining us from Ontario this evening. All right, very good. Do we have any other YLs who'd like to check in? Please call now. Okay, that looks like that is everyone. So awesome. Well, we have a great group of gals here with us. We're glad to have you here. And so trying to come up with a topic for this evening's net that might be interesting. And so I was discussing with Melanie, and she had suggested, and I thought it was a great suggestion, that we talk a little bit about digital modes tonight. So what I'd like to do is we're still going to go through the list of check-ins and give you gals an opportunity to tell the group what you've been up to in ham radio, and anything outside of ham radio, feel free to share, but definitely any ham radio activities that you've been involved in recently or that you look forward to participating in coming up soon. And also what we'd like to know, or what I'd like to know, and would like you to share with the group here, is if you have operated in using any of the digital modes with amateur radio. And if so, which mode have you used? And perhaps you can tell us a little bit about your setup there to operate digital. But first off, just tell us if you have operated with digital modes when we go down the list here. And if so, I'll come back to you and just get a little more info on the modes, the different modes you may have utilized there, and kind of your setup. So first, let's just kick it off. We'll go down and tell us what you've been up to over the last week, and then if you have operated any digital modes at all in your playing amateur radio. So first off, I'll kick it off. I personally have not done anything with digital modes yet, although I am interested in exploring it, and am looking through the Get on the Air with HF Digital book that is out, and I highly recommend that if any of you gals have an interest in operating digital modes and haven't yet, I encourage you to perhaps, if you like, at least look into purchasing that book. It will give you a great introduction into the digital modes, what you need to operate using the digital modes. It'll go through the differences between them, pros and cons, for lack of a better term, of the different modes, so that you can explore the world of digital mode and amateur radio. Now, before we go down the list, I'd like to see if anybody on the net currently is short time. Please go ahead and let me know so we can start with you first, so we don't miss out on hearing from you.
Victor Alpha 3, Whiskey Hotel Uniform. Yeah, good evening, Catherine. No, I haven't discovered anything to do with digital mode yet. It's like beta versus beta versus VHS at the moment with me. I haven't had any any inclination to pick up anything on digital mode yet. So if anybody's got anything that they can share with me on digital mode, I'd be really interested to hear it. And I'm sure with all the amateurs on the air tonight on this group, that there's a lot of experience out there. And if anybody could help me with anything to do with digital, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, very good, Carol. Excuse me. Are you short time, or are you going to be hanging out with us for a little while?
Yeah, nothing on the TV. The British shows don't start till 9 p.m. So I'm going to hang out with you guys. Really enjoy getting on the air here on Echolink on a Thursday night with you ladies. 8 o'clock I'm here, so whatever I can learn from this net on a Thursday night, everything's really good, and I really enjoy listening to everybody's comments. Over.
Just a little bit here and catch up with you on what else you've been up to. So what we'll do then is we'll go ahead and start with Linda, KC8PKY. So Linda, how are you? What have you been up to over the last week, and any ham radio activities you're looking forward to coming up? And I'm pretty sure you've operated digital modes, so if you want to speak to that as well, that would be great. So let's go on over to Linda, KC8PKY, AC4YL with the group.
Okay, this is KC8PKY. Haven't been up to too much the past week or so for radio, but about when we were in Michigan, did do a little bit with Olivia. We were just starting to get used to that. And I'm getting ready to try out FT8. But I understand there's new stuff coming on for that, so I might wait just until they release the new version. Other than that, really nothing else going on. It's just cold here. And with that, I'll turn it back to the net, KC8PKY.
Okay, very good, Linda. So you've experimented with Olivia. That's pretty cool. So what kind of was your setup? Do you have a newer radio that lets you just plug USB direct connect to your computer, or do you have an interface in between the two, like a SignalLink or a Rig Blaster? And what antenna were you using to operate that mode?
My radio's an FT897, so I have the SignalLink box that was connected to the computer. At that time, I think we were using a 8040 dipole because we had a very small lot at the time. And it was, Michigan was kind of getting into it for Aries races. So we were really just learning it. We didn't do a whole lot with it. And that's really about it. KC8PKY.
Okay, very good, Linda. Well, cool. And I know Nisi will probably have some things to say about FT8 and perhaps FT8 call, which seems to be the latest and greatest digital mode to play with. But there are still a lot of other good modes, and we'll talk a little bit about them. And I know Carol had mentioned she really hasn't had an inclination to operate on digital modes, and quite frankly, I haven't really either until recently, and I'll tell you why. And I think a lot of hams are getting more involved with digital modes right now because we're in such a weak portion of the sunspot cycle. So what happens is you want to be able to use a mode that allows you to transmit and communicate through amateur radio with the least amount of signal, or not, well, what can actually break through regardless of propagation conditions being not as great as they could be. So that's what digital can do for you there, Carol, and anybody else like myself and Carol who haven't really been all that inclined to play around with digital modes. That would be a good motivation factor, especially when you get on and you aren't really hearing anyone on single sideband phone and you're having trouble working stations. Digital modes opens up a whole new world where you can actually use very little power and work long distances. So definitely worth exploring digital modes and digital operating for that reason, especially right now with where we are in the sunspot cycle. So very good, Linda. Thanks so much for sharing your experience with us. And I also have an 897D, but I think what I'm going to do is I think that's going to become my 2-meter single sideband experiment radio. I'm going to play with that. So eventually I'm looking into that and exploring the aero antenna system for that. So that I'm looking forward to that, exploring working satellites, watching some videos on that, and learning about the aero antenna. So that's kind of what I plan on using that radio for. But I do have an older Yaesu FT840 rig that I will most likely set up and use as my digital dedicated station. And so I already have the SignalLink box for that. I had bought that a couple of years ago and started playing with it a little bit, but I don't think I ever got it really fine-tuned. And so it was working, but how well, I don't know. I didn't get that far into testing the signal and making sure it was a good, clean signal going out. And I have yet to make any digital contacts with it. But very good, Linda. Thanks so much for sharing your experience with digital modes. Let's go to Chrissy, KC8UFV. We're glad to have you back, Chrissy. It's been a while. It's good to catch up with you. So how have you been? What have you been up to? And have you experimented with any of the digital modes, and if so, which ones? KC8UFV, AC4YL with the group.
Okay, well, it's good to be here. I've been so crazy busy. That's why I've not been on the net for a little while here. Yes, I've worked digital. If we're talking HF, usually that's been PSK that I've worked. I have an 857 and an 817, so it's all sound card interfaces. I actually built my own interface for it. If you want, I will, over in the Facebook group, I will share a picture from the TMRA archives and a newsletter from the Toledo Mobile Radio Association. That newsletter has a schematic and a closer picture of the sound card interface that I put together. Ignore the out-of-date name. And we actually did a kit build of that, which never run a kit build for Deadbug style projects. Lately, let's see, I've been, over the last couple weeks, working on, I finally got my logic analyzer in, and so I have been working on reverse engineering the control head protocol for my ICOM 2800s. Since I only have one working control head and two good bodies, I'm working on building a emulator with based on an Orange Pi. So hopefully I can get that going and get at least a start of that up soon. This is KC8UFV, back to net.
All right, very good, Chrissy. Well, some of that, I'll admit, was a bit over my head, but sounds pretty cool. Anytime you reverse engineer something, that's fun and challenging at the same time, but that's certainly something that you enjoy, and I think that's awesome. It's always good to have a fun project on the table for sure, and I'm sure you'll be successful with that, with given your interest and focus. So that's very cool. You'll have to keep us posted. Let us know how your success goes with that. And yes, if you would, that would be great if you could share with us some information on the Facebook group regarding that schematic and the picture of the sound card interface that you put together, and a little info on that. That would be great. So primarily PSK for you. Okay, that's cool. Very neat. So awesome. So you've got 2 radios that you could do with that. What power were you using? What wattage were you running at, Chrissy, when you were operating digital?
So most of mine has actually been portable because I don't really have good HF antennas here at home. I sent a link to the Facebook group. I sent a link to field day of my setup 11 years ago. I think I was using the 857 right then, and I think I was running just 20 watts so that I still had a clean signal. There weren't that many stations on the band, and I think I probably had 100 contacts over the time I operated at that field day. I don't have that laptop anymore, but the setup's basically the same. So I think that's pretty much it. As far as other digital, I use D-Star. I've got one of the Kenwood radios, and in my car I have an ID800 that is more of a pain in the butt to use. But the Kenwood works great, even with the ICOM app on my phone, KC8 USB.
All right, very cool, Chrissy. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing, because, you know, like we were talking about, you can operate, whereas with single sideband, a lot of us prefer to operate at 100 watts or sometimes higher as a general rule. But see, you're able to make a lot of contacts running low wattage in the digital mode world. So definitely got a shot at making more contacts on lower power, especially, again, given where we are in the sunspot cycle. So very cool. Well, thanks, Chrissy, so much for sharing, and we're really glad to have you on with us tonight, and hopefully you can start making it on a little more often so we can see how you're doing. That's always a pleasure to have you here with us, so thanks for joining us. All right, we've had some other gals, speaking of joining us, join us this evening. So I want to welcome Susie and 8CGM. Good evening to you, Susie in Ohio, and Alicia, AC1EW in Massachusetts. Good evening to you. And I see a new person joining us for the first time this evening, and I believe that is Marita in Arizona. So good evening to you. We are glad to have you with us as well. We're just going down the list of gals in the order that they checked into the net this evening, and seeing how everyone's doing and what ham radio activities you've been up to over the last week or so, and any that you're looking forward to up and coming. And we're also talking about digital modes tonight. So when we come to you, you can tell us if you have done anything with digital modes yet, and if so, which ones that you played with. So next up on our list is Ann, WB1ARU. So Ann, how are you doing? And what's new up your way there other than chilly weather? WB1ARU, AC4YL with the group.
AC4YL and the group WB1ARU. Well, good evening to everyone. Good to see such a nice group on this evening. Yeah, it's a little chilly around here, but it's not. The sun has been shining for 3 days, and it's like a record. We haven't seen sun 3 days in a row in a month or more. So it's really nice to see sun, and the sun is warm, even if the air is cold. Let's see, as far as ham radio, well, I was on 40 meters last night. Talked to a nice guy down in North Carolina, but I did not hear any YLs, and I was on for about a half hour calling CQYL. band was pretty dead. There were a few signals though, so I think I could have worked somebody if there'd been somebody there. But that's the way it goes. It is the Christmas season, etc. And not to mention also Hanukkah and who knows what else going on. Let's see. Ham radio wise, I have never done digital modes. Maybe someday, but been busy doing other things. And ham radio wise, new in this ham shack, I guess, or soon to be in the ham shack, is a new computer to work with the Maestro Flex setup, because the old computer was not fast enough to keep up with it. So new computer isn't down here yet and being debugged, I guess you might say. You know, everything you have to do when you turn on a new computer, it just isn't like straight out of the box. You gotta go through all the updates, etc., etc. And then of course the software, and then backups to the software, and backups to the programs, and when he gets it all done, then he'll install it down here, and we won't have an audio issue that we've been having with the system. So looking forward to that, having the newer computer down here. So, I just got the ding dong, so I guess that means it's time to let someone else have a conversation. Back to the net from WB1ARU.
All right, very good, Ann. Well, glad you guys are getting some sunshine up there. We're finally getting some down here, and in spite of the cooler weather and temp change. It was supposed to get up to about 50 degrees today, but we started out at about 25 Fahrenheit, so it was definitely a bit chilly, and that's quite a swing to go about, 25 degree difference there during the day, but well, what can we say? That's Atlanta weather for you. But yeah, it doesn't take too much to play around with digital modes, and perhaps one of these days you'll get to experiment with that. And with the newer computer, you never know. It's good times, and it's fun to learn. And I'll be right there with you on that as I start exploring digital modes myself. So very good, Ann. It's good to hear from you, and glad you guys are doing well, and I'm sure everybody's busy getting ready for the holidays. All right. Let's see. Next up is Margaret, AE7MB. Well, Margaret, how have you been? What have you been up to? And have you ever played with digital modes before? AE7MB, AC4YL with the group.
Well, good evening, ladies. Let's see, what have I been up to? Last Saturday was Walk and Knock, which was our annual food drive, one-day food drive. It's supposedly the largest in the country, and we had wonderful weather. It was supposed to rain, and it did not, and that certainly did not disappoint any of us. We were on a different band this year. Usually we use 20 meters, or 2 meters, I'm sorry. But we've been having a lot of problems with interference on 2 meters, so we went to 70 centimeters. And that was kind of fun. Of course, we had to go and reprogram all of our handhelds, but it worked out. There were a few glitches, but everybody managed to do well. So we had a great time, and let's see, what else is going on? I have not played with digital. My husband has done some of that, but I have not done it. So I can't give you any stories on that. So with that, I will turn it back to you. This is AE7MB. Over to AC4YL in the group.
All right, very good, Margaret. Well, I'm so glad that the food drive went well, and y'all were able to kind of switch bands there, and that was able to work out for you. And hey, give 70 centimeters some use, right? Seems so much more now that so many are mainly using 2 meters, so it's actually good that 440 is 70 centimeters is getting a good workout, and I'm so glad that that worked out for you guys, and you had a successful event, and that the weather was nice for you. That is fantastic. So you've got the setup there. Now all you got to do is sit down with your OM there and play some digital and see if it interests you at all, and have some fun making some contacts. You know, that's another mode. If any of you like to, what we call chase paper, or try to work all states on digital modes, that's another way you can earn a certificate through ARRL. So another thought, another reason to perhaps get into digital modes as well. You might find, who knows, it might not take you as long as it maybe did on single sideband. Very good, Margaret. It's good to hear from you, and glad you guys are doing well and have had some success over the last week. And I'm really glad that the food drive turned out well. I think that's fantastic that you guys do that. So next up is Dawn, WA4YL. Dawn, how have you been? What you been up to? And have you ever played around with digital modes? I think you have, and if so, which ones? Dawn, over to you. WA4YL, AC4YL with the group.
This is WA4YL. I've dabbled with FT8 and PSK31 on 20 meters, and I've also done 2 meter digital work, but that's totally different. But that's about it, and tonight I went to a Christmas party with Chris's Radio Club at Beef Oak Brady's and had a good time there. But basically, the band conditions down here are not in my favor. So, I haven't been able to do any chef work in a while. Back to you, Catherine, WA4YL.
All right, very good, Dawn. Well, great. Glad you played around on some digital modes then on 20 meters, so FT8, and I think you said PSK. So that's fantastic. Yeah, I think the band condition situation is pretty global right now, but hopefully things will improve once we get through this sunspot cycle and we get back on the upswing of things. It's kind of interesting just thinking about when I first got licensed 5 years ago in 13, the bands were still running good, 13 and on into 14, and then just kind of went down from there and seemed to get progressively worse. Because I remember when I first got licensed in the end of 13 and on into 14, 10 meters was really just hopping. Lots of people were getting actually DXCC on 10 meters, which was amazing to me. I didn't do a whole lot with 10. I actually made a lot of contacts on 17, which is a fun. I like that band. I had a lot of fun and made a lot of cues on that. But all single sideband, of course. But anyway, so I think that's kind of more a global thing, just with where we are at the moment. Glad you had a good time at the Christmas party there, Dawn, and glad you guys are doing well and staying warm down there, because I think y'all got some chilly weather down there in Florida, which is unusual. Had to break out the jacket, right? All right, good to hear from you, Dawn. All right, let's see. Next up is Ann, KC9YL. So, Ann, how are you? And have you played with digital modes yet? AC4YL with the group.
Good evening, Catherine and the gang. I've been keeping busy here. We got temperatures that aren't going to get out of the teens tomorrow, so it's going to be kind of chilly. Tomorrow I'm helping do inventory at a local radio club that we are in the process of disbanding. It's going to kind of turn into just breakfast meetings every once in a while, and that's going to kind of be that we lost our happy home, and just there hasn't been a lot of interest in it, and there was some conflict years back between this club and Aries Races, which we've never kind of been able to recover from. So it's pretty much mutual agreement that it's just going to turn into sort of a social club, so that is okay. Saturday morning I have a DX meeting and going to attend a fundraiser in the afternoon hopefully, and then in the evening I have my Sheboygan Club Christmas party for the radio club in the adjacent county that I belong to. I have done some digital. I started out with a little bit of PSK. Wasn't really crazy about that. The people seemed a little more chatty than what I liked because I don't like having to read all that stuff. I did enjoy RTTY contesting because that's kind of short and sweet, and I do that every once in a while. I have made one FTA contact, I think. It hasn't been updated on Logbook of the World. It was a special event station for a QSO party, so not sure if I'm ever going to see that, so maybe I didn't do what I thought I had done. But FT8 is really intriguing to me, but there's been so many updates, and I've been seeing the updates on that JS call, and I've been wanting to get into that, and every time I think I'll go downstairs to the computer and work on it, they send out another update. So I guess if some of the ladies that are up to date on either one of those could send a link as far as kind of a how-to thing, because I've got so many emails from all the updates over the past couple of weeks and possibly months that I kind of have been overwhelmed and don't know where to start. I do use a Signal link. That's worked well for what I have used it for. I do have a micro here in the box, and that needs to be hooked up yet, and I will go. I got the ding. This is KC9YL.
Okay, Ann, so sorry, I was just trying to catch the last thing. So you said you have a Signal link you used, and what was that very last thing that you said you got in the box?
I do have a micro key or two that I did purchase a while back, and I know that that would be a much better interface, and it would also work with some CW. And I bought the micro keyer, and I do have the connecting cables that I need, and there's about 72 of those, so the whole thing was just kind of overwhelming to me, so that's where it still fits in the box. So it's just kind of another one of my works in progress. Back to net, KC9YL.
All right, very good, Ann. Thanks for coming back and finishing that. I had missed what exactly you had there. So, all right, very good. Do you remember what power you were running at when you were operating digital? Were you kind of low power QRP or just under 100 watts?
PSK, as I recall, it was probably about 25. It's really been quite a while since I did that. RTTY, I know, is always 50 watts, so that's what I typically run for that.
Okay, cool, Ann. Well, thanks so much for sharing that. And sorry to see the one club go, but unfortunately, sometimes that's just what happens. But you sounds like you've got your other club that you participate with, interactive with, so that is fantastic. Hope you enjoy your party with them, and try to stay warm because teens is chilly. But thanks so much for coming back. So you've had quite a bit of experimenting with digital, so that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing your experiences with us on that. And we'll talk a little bit about the various modes here once we finish going and giving everybody a chance to say hello and tell us how they're doing. So very good. I'll have to check out the micro keyer. I'm not all that familiar with it, so I'll definitely look into that. And glad you got that. And, you know, just one step at a time. If it's too overwhelming for you at the moment, keep it close by and just take it one little bit at a time, and I'm sure you'll get that hooked up. You'll have to keep us posted on how that works out for you once you get it set up. That is awesome. So thanks, Ann. It's so good to hear from you tonight, and glad you're doing well. Next up is Brenda, KW1YL. Brenda, how have you been? And have you had an opportunity to play with any digital modes? KW1YL, AC4YL with the group.
This is KW1YL, and I've been fine. I hope the system doesn't disconnect me. I kept getting proxy disconnect and peer disconnect. Took 20 tries to get back on, so I hope it doesn't do that while I'm talking. That's how it goes tonight. And as far as digital modes, no, I haven't played with digital modes. I continue to do my UHF nets, and I did my monthly net control duty last night. We're still not on HF at home or at the Makerspace, but we're slowly working on it. We're scoping out the roof of the Makerspace for a multi-band delta loop, and we hope to get up to at least 80 meters, but the installation will be kind of complex going up because it's 5 city office stories, over 5 really, and so it'll take time, and so we're working slowly on it, and nothing else really new and different to report. So KW1YL, back to AC4YL.
All right, very good, Brenda. Well, sounds like you're staying busy as usual. And, yeah, I would say sometimes it's harder to work on getting those antennas up in the colder weather. It kind of puts a dab on the excitement sometimes, but y'all keep at it, and I'm sure you'll let us know once you get it up. So that's cool. So you guys are opting for a multi-band delta loop at the Makerspace. That's great. I hope that works out for you. I started out with an inverted, I started out with a delta loop, side-fed inverted delta loop antenna myself. Was my first one. I had some help, design help and setup help with some folks in the club here, and it worked quite well. And I was able to work a lot of stations with it. So you'll have to keep us posted, and I'm sure you'll get us some pictures once y'all get that up. So best of luck to y'all. Keep us posted, and we look forward to hearing back from you on that soon. And glad you're staying busy with those nets, and that's working out for you as well. It's good to hear from you, Brenda, and hopefully we'll catch up with you again next week as well. All right, would like to welcome Jenny, M0HZT has joined us. Good morning, Jenny, and April, VE3BHG, joining us from Ontario. So glad to have you both here. We're just going down the list here of everybody, giving everybody a chance to tell us what they've been up to, and we're talking a bit about digital this evening. All right, next up is Judy, KE7IXI. So Judy, how have you been? What you been up to? And have you experimented with any digital modes yet in the world of amateur radio? KE7IXI, AC4YL with the group. Okay, not hearing anything from Judy yet. Let's try her one more time here. KE7IXI. Good evening, Judy. If you'd like to come back and tell us what you've been up to over the last week, or any ham radio activities you're looking forward to up and coming. And if you've had a chance to play with any digital modes. KE7IXI, AC4YL with the group. All right, not getting anything from Judy. Maybe she had to step away. that happens, no problem. We'll try and come back to her in a bit. Let's go to Nisi, K-A-1-U-L-N. How are you doing, Nisi? AC4YL with the group.
Hey, Catherine and all the YLs. So nice to see everybody here. Happy holidays to all. So, Catherine, first I would like to, I think Rhea talked about SDR, software-defined radios. I think she talked about that about maybe in the beginning of the summer, but I think it's worth bringing up again, especially now that you're talking about digital mode. So it's a different topic for a different day, but kind of related. In fact, a lot of the radios now they call SDR. So I have worked many digital modes. I don't know about all of them. And what I did is, this is how I met Andrea, Kilo 2 Echo Zulu. I think I was on I don't know, a mode. I probably sideband. We were talking, and I mentioned, you know, digital modes and to get them going. And we just, and this is how my buddy up system started. Me and Andrea, we went to another frequency, and we just got, I don't remember which one, PSK, which is probably my favorite. I really like PSK. We went to a separate frequency, got it working. We got another OM involved in New Jersey, and it was great. That's how we went through all the bands with PSK, and for all three of us, we made QSOs, we confirmed them. So I know that way, that I know that I can do PSK on all the bands. Let me just step back 1 second and just say, digital modes are probably the easiest thing that you, after getting your license, because you don't have to talk. With digital modes, it means you're digital, you're using your computer, digital, so you don't have to talk. And you know, if you don't call CQ, this is K1ULN, whatever, for a contact, and then CQ, after that, it gets boring. Maybe one day we can talk about how you can record that, and you don't have to talk it because your mouth gets dry and get tired, and so we figured out how to work all the bands with this one PSK, so I know I'm good there. So we went to, I think, another mode, and we did the same thing. And I truly, honestly, I'd be willing to do that with anybody. Just shoot me an email. I'm on QRZ, K-A-1-U-L-N, and A-R-R-L. So digital mode really is easy. All you need is your radio. You need a computer. And you need a computer, and if it's like a desktop computer, let me reset here. So your radio. So I know a lot of people don't have HF radios. You can do PSK, you can do CW, you can do FT8 on 2 meters, 440, 990, 1.2. So a lot of the UHF, VHF frequencies. So if you don't have HF, don't feel left out, because you can do all these digital modes. So you need a radio, you need a computer. And the reason why I'm pausing is because if it's a desktop computer, you probably have like a Sound Blaster card in there. And if you don't have that, you could use your Yeah, I'm thinking Raspberry Pi. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. I think a couple people here do. Raspberry Pi, and then you need one of those $5 or actually between $1 and $5, a sound card, a little thumb drive. It's a little sound card that's, I promise you all I will write up exactly what I'm saying here. I'll put it out on my blog and actually put it out on the YLNet, because it's a lot. It's a lot to actually get your radio, everything ready for the digital modes, but it really is easy. So radio, computer, and the piece of software that you need. There's just like two pieces of software that you need. FLDigi, FLDIGI. Even if you don't run any digital mode, you should try to download that today and just check it out. Just look at it. It's free. It's all free. And that gives you all the digital modes except for the JT65, FT8, Whisper. There's a couple others. Yeah. So let me just reset. I just want to tell you one more thing, and because I don't want to overwhelm you, it really isn't that difficult. It's just, yeah. And reset. Joe Taylor, the guy who made the JT65, FT8, Whisper, I think somebody maybe correct me, but I think he was studying propagation and he was studying physics. He's a physician. He's a physics guy, and that's how he came up with the JT stuff, the FT8, and that means you a lot of the people that do FT8 and JT65, they use it for propagation. They use it for determining the propagation. It's a lot more behind all those JT65, FT8 than meets the eye. There's a lot more behind it, and it's really awesome if you get into it. Anyway, the point is, it's really easy. It's the easiest thing you've done since you got your license. It's a fun thing to do. You don't have to work hard. You don't have to use your voice. You don't have to do CW. There's nothing you got to memorize. Nothing you got to memorize. Nothing you got to, no voice. Nothing extra. It really is just a computer. It really is just your computer, and that's why some of the diehards, the old farts, if you will, they're not interested in it at all because it's a computer and it's internet and so it's really easy. It's another mode, just like side being a phone or CW, but it really is fun and it's awesome. Send me an email. I'd be happy to do this buddy up thing with you, to work directly with you and make sure that it's working for you. Especially now. I had a full knee replacement. I have a lot of time. KA1ULN.net.
All right, very good, Nisi. Well, fantastic. And yeah, I knew you'd have some things to share with the group on digital modes, because I know you've been quite active on them. That's awesome. And I think it's great you bring out a good point of what you did with Andrea as far as doing basically kind of a signal check. One, make sure you got it set up correctly. Two, make sure you could work each other. And three, kind of check and make sure everything worked correctly on multiple bands. So it's a great way to test your setup, and certainly would encourage you gals, when you get it set up, you can certainly, if there's somebody that you know that has worked digital modes and would be willing to work with you on that and check your setup, that's always most helpful. and for them to be on the other end of the line, so to speak, so you could try and work each other. But if all else fails, you can also do call CQ and see if somebody comes back to you, and just take the time to find out how your signal is and how that's working for you. So very good. So definitely check out Nisi's blog, as I'm sure she's got a lot of good info on that. And thanks, Nisi, for all you do and your encouragement on that. And we look forward to checking out what else you come up with. And we'll keep an eye out on the Facebook group as well. So awesome. Thanks, Nisi. Appreciate you being here, and hope the healing continues to go well for you. Sounds like it's moving in the right direction, which is awesome. All right, next up is Carol, VA3WHU. And before I pass it to Carol, would like to welcome, well, I think I already did. So go over to you, Carol, VA3WHU. I know you mentioned you haven't played with digital modes yet, but what else have you been up to, and any ham radio activities you're looking forward to? VA3WHU, AC4YL with the group. Well, let me see here. Okay. Looks like Carol might have had to step out, so no problem. Susie, any luck with your mic there? I know you've been working on that. I'll give you a chance. I'll pass it over to you. NHCGM, how have you been? And if you're able to come back to us, let us know. Well, not yet. Okay. All right, Susie. Well, feel free to type in the chat here, and I'll try to keep an eye on that. I'm not on my computer, so I'm actually running this off my phone, so it's a little hairy. So, gotta love it when the proxies won't cooperate here. So next up is Alicia, AEC1EW. How have you been, Alicia, and have you been able to check out any of the digital modes yourself? AEC1EW, AC4YL with the group.
Hi everyone, this is Alicia, AC1EW. As a matter of fact, I did just get into FT8 some this last couple of weeks. The main reason is that as it gets colder, I may be restricted on my antenna. I live in a townhouse that has an HOA agreement. I've been able to set up a spider beam off the back balcony in the summer, which since it backs up to some woods, but the spider beam won't work in the wintertime. And I do have an inside or a kind of a wire loop that I just set up on the top floor of our townhouse, the fourth floor. And I can get through for some things. And one thing I could do, I found, was FT8. And looks like that and CW will maybe my restriction during the winter months. I don't know. We'll see how it is. But I'm also learning CW. I'm signed up for the CW Ops Level 1 class that starts in January, so I'm excited and nervous about that. Trying to practice as much as I can to get ready for that, and I've joined in on Nisi's Slow CW net on Sunday evenings, so you know that's helpful. And other than that, I built a battery box. I guess sometimes they're called solar generators, but I don't know that it's really a generator. Anyway, I've got a lithium-ion battery that powers my radio. I set it up inside this ammo box that I got from Harbor Freight and I built out the connections for USB ports and power pole connectors, along with connectors for solar panels to be hooked up to it. So I'm excited about that. So when we can get out and do some parks on the air again, that'll be very helpful. Anyway, that's pretty much it for me. I'll turn back to net control, AC1EW, over.
All right, very good, Alicia. Well, that's awesome. So you're getting the ground running on FT8. That is awesome. So that brings up another good reason why some might get involved in digital modes. How about antenna restrictions and limitations based on where they are, and have better luck getting out on the digital modes than on single sideband. So that's fantastic, and I think you will thoroughly enjoy the CW Ops program. I'm sure you've looked at their website, but for those of you that aren't as familiar with them, you can check out their website and you can actually download their entire program that they use for their classes. And you can do that, and the only thing you have by doing it on your own is you don't have that live feedback and interaction that you would have with an instructor over Skype. But if you're interested in that program and you want to learn more about it, you can certainly check it out. Download all of the, I guess you could say, curriculum, for lack of a better word, for the program, and practice and play with it and go through the exact same methods that they use to teach it. And that may help you decide whether you're interested in participating, but I think you will find that you will have a lot of fun, Alicia, and you'll have to let us know how you're doing. And there are several YLs that to participate in this net that have already gone through level 1 and even level 2, I think. So you might want to touch base with Ann, KC9YL. Sky, who's not on this evening, has also, I think she's also gone through level 1, KA7SKY. I don't know if her email's up on QRZ, but you could certainly reach out to her there. I think she is on the WildOpNet Facebook group, so you might be able to touch base with her there. But both of them have been through it, and I can't recall off the top of my head if anybody else on this net currently has gone through the CW Ops program, but I know several have or are signed up to do so. So I think you'll have a lot of fun, and partner with some folks and play around with it. Get on some contests, especially well, there are quite a few out there where they will help you even if you are fairly slow. A lot of the CW operators will slow down to a speed that you can follow to help you and help you make that contact. So don't be afraid to get out there and try as you're learning. There's a great group of hams out there in the CW world who love to help folks learn. Also check out SKCC. You can check them out. You can get an SKCC number. They have several CW events as well, and they are all about encouraging new CW ops also, and will slow down and help you and give you suggested frequencies where you might find better luck for those folks helping you out. So awesome. All right. Let me see here. I see I have Marita on my list next, KJ7ANA. Marita out in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I believe that she is a new ham, fairly new ham. Looks like you got your technician license about 3 months ago, roughly. So congratulations on that.
Hi, this is Judy K7IXI. I invited Marita to our club this evening. Maybe we're not probably too sure yet about, saying something, but that's okay. First one, we can do listening and learn, and that's what it's all about. Congratulations to Marita this evening, and she's with us. With me, last weekend, I attended the Mesa Ham Fest. Saw Fred, who was the founder of QRZ, and they had a wonderful cake there. It sure was delicious, and it was good to see fellow hams at the fest also. Other than that, I've been just doing a lot of work around the house here, doing some remodeling. Haven't been on the radio too much. Digital, my husband uses digital more than I do. But hey, I'm going to pick up speed one of these days. But welcome again to Marita. And Catherine, I'm going to send it back to you. KE7IXI.
Okay, very good, Judy. Well, that is awesome. Well, we're definitely glad to have you both here. That's fantastic. Sounds like y'all are staying busy, and again, we definitely welcome Marita, and we encourage you to come back. We meet every Thursday evening here, and it's a really nice group of gals. So don't be afraid to come on and say hello. We love to have new folks join us, and so we are glad to have you here with us. So next up is Jenny, M0HZT. So good morning, Jenny. Hope you're doing well. What have you been up to, and have you been able to play with any digital modes yet? M0HZT, AC4YL with the group.
Good morning, Kat, and good morning, everybody. I say good morning because it is morning. What time is it?
The time now is 03:11.
Cool. 11 minutes after 2 in the morning. That is early. I'm a bit crazy, but I love it. I love talking with all you guys.
I enjoy it.
We had Gambia coming in, was it Monday night?
Yeah.
Now, tried to get back, pile up. But then it's understandable, because I read on QRZ she's the only operator in the Gambia. So no wonder he had a pile up. We were coming through so clearly, and I was trying so hard that I'm not getting through. It was heartbreaking. I will get it over one day. I will. I'm determined. Fans aren't too special, even though we are getting out. It's just not across the pond. Worse luck. I would really like to get my work towards states on the QRZ awards. But one day I will. And I need South America and Australia, my continents award. Not easy, because if QRZ and EQSL worked on the same stuff, I'd have that one. But they don't. I posed that question in the forum, and time out. No, I think I'm okay on my iPad. I don't see the time out. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Oh dear.
Lots of words.
I probably because they want to time out, did I? Sure, it's fun though, I must admit. And I love Logbook of the World. I have started to do it, but I can't seem to I set them all up on honey because they go straight up. But it's this evening. I don't unless I can confirm via QRZ. I can't seem to be able to check. So there you go. It was set up for me by Robin. The Robin that I think everyone knows him. He and Ruthie. Katie and he used to work at HRD. I think I better shut up now for a bit.
Sure, there's no problem at all, dear.
Back to you there, Cat. M08CT in the group.
All right, very good, Jenny. Well, we're glad to have you here with us, and yeah, you know, it's hard to work the states out of UK, but you know, might want to make a list of any of the gals here on the net or in any of the states you need. You know, perhaps you can set up a sked and work on that. And I know you know Shirley and perhaps a couple other gals out there in Australia. It's definitely a challenge for sure. I know we have a hard time here in the States working folks in the UK. It can be quite challenging for certain. So if you have LOTW set up, you can actually get a link between LOTW and QRZ to pull your queues in so you don't miss anything. You may want to look into that, and I know Melanie's done it, so I'm sure she'd be happy to help you. If you get stuck or you just need some guidance on how to do that, you can certainly send her an email. Her call sign at arrl.net. But that, you know, that would be my suggestion to help keep your QRZ logbook in sync, so to speak. All right, Jenny, well, it's good to hear from you, and yes, it's definitely early Friday morning for you guys, so glad y'all are doing well, sounding good. All right, next up is April, VE3BHG. So April, how have you been, and what have you been up to, and have you had a chance to use any digital modes?
VE3BHG here. Wow. Anyways, yes, it's been a crazy busy time for me today. I had a last-minute appointment at a clinic because I have an infection, got to get some antibiotics. But I made an appointment at the clinic for 6, and I didn't get seen till 7:30. So had dinner at like 8:30, and then Carol says, "Are you coming into the chat?" And I says, "Well, I guess I'd better." So here I am at the last minute. But the only digital mode that I've actually had a chance to work with, and I wasn't actually the operator, I was just allowed to chat, was DMR, because John from our club has DMR radio. And our president, Steve, he is formerly from, I believe, North Carolina. I don't know how long he's been in Canada. But he has every digital mode possible that he uses at different times for different things. And he did a demonstration of one of them where he was just communicating via CW, and the computer does it all. Like you program a macro in, and it's CQ, 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 DE, whatever your call sign is, and it just does it for you. And then, you, like you say, you can make a contact without even talking to somebody, which I think kind of defeats the purpose. But I like the DMR. I talked to a couple of guys from Ohio, and they invited me onto their net, but I haven't been able to do it because I think it's the same time as this one. So it's just one of those things. No, I'm getting ready for Christmas as well. I'm trying to get some stuff done. Christmas present shopping is going to be the excuse me, the last minute this year, but Christmas cards and so forth and so on. Okay, I see FLDigi. That's the one thing. I wanted to write that down so that I remember to check it out. Anyways, I'm about to time out, so I think I'll let it go back to you. This is the 3BHD returning to the net.
Okay, very good, April. Well, I hope your visit to the clinic was successful. Sounds like it was. So get on those antibiotics and don't forget to pack in some yogurt because you want to make sure you keep your good bacteria levels up. And I hope that you're feeling better soon. There's a lot of that going around, especially with the crazy weather patterns we've been having of late. And yeah, as far as like the DMR net, if it does happen to be on, the same night as this one, you can certainly alternate and, or be on that one for a while and come over here or, whatever you like. It's just certainly fine. It's awesome that you've been able to play around with that some. And yeah, it's pretty cool. In fact, I think you can set up those macros with FLDigi. And that's definitely a program to check out. That's kind of like the Swiss Army knife of software for digital modes because you can operate all of them. I think pretty much all of them. I'm not sure about FT8 yet, but I know the rest of them you can. But yeah, that's definitely a program to start out with when you're getting involved in digital modes. And as Nisi had mentioned earlier, it's free. So you can download it even if you're not yet playing digital and check it out and see what it's like and what the interface is like. So, very cool. I think that's everybody that I had on my check-in list here. Let me pause for reset. Okay, Melanie asked, did I say hello to everybody? For her, she's got a severe cold and is not feeling well, so she asked me to say hello to everyone. And it is WSJTX for FT8 and JT65 and JT9, all the JT modes. And so those are what you'll use for that, but you can use FLDigi for pretty much everything else. Oh, and for Whisper. Okay, so I think, yep, that's everybody that I have on the list here. So real quick, I can't share these links in Echolink because I'm not on Echolink on my computer. But there are a few good links that I found for a good introduction into digital modes. One of them is actually a PDF document of a PowerPoint presentation that Aham did, and basically he explains how digital modes work, and in a simplistic way it's basically how data is transmitted as a series of audio tones via the radio single sideband circuitry. Translation between the audio tones and the digital data stream can be accomplished by the radio circuitry or computer sound card plus computer software, which is kind of what we've talked about today a little bit on digital modes. So what do you need to operate digital? Well, Nisi had mentioned a computer and a radio. She's correct. You need a transceiver capable of single sideband. You need a computer with digital software. For JT65 and JT9, you need free software to sync your computer clock with time standard. That's critical if you're operating in those modes, and the same with FT8 as well, I believe. This, I think, was put together before FT8 came out. You need an interface, either a commercial interface like a SignalLink or a Rig Blaster, or a homebrew one like Christy had mentioned. She had built one, and there are some kit builds that you can do to build that. you'll want to take precautions to get a clean signal. So you want to be sure to turn off any compression circuitry that is used for voice single sideband. You want to keep your signal levels well below the threshold for ALC limiting. And you only need at most low power for this. So you don't have to operate high power for these modes either. So this PDF document goes through each of pretty much most of the digital modes we're familiar with, all the way up through JT65 and JT9. Again, FT8 came out after this document came out, so that's not included in this, but it'll still give you a good intro into JT65, JT9, PSK31, and PSK63. Operating PSK using FLDigi. It's a nice screenshot of that, and setting up macros for PSK and RTTY. It gives you some sample QSOs so you can know what a QSO in those modes is like. Let me pause for reset. Now, I think it was Anne mentioned she didn't really care for PSK because it's a lot of chat. So there are some modes that are more for considered chat modes. PSK31 is one. Olivia is another one. Feldhell is another one that's more considered a chat mode. And as Anne mentioned, RTTY is very popular in contesting because you have shorter QSOs with RTTY. It's also popular with DXpeditions. A lot of them will, when they're using digital, they'll use RTTY. And now a lot of them are starting to use FT8 as well. So that's really cool. If you want to work real DX using low power and even compromised antennas, you can do that with JT65, JT9, FT8. So those are great for working DX using low power even with a compromised antenna, such as Alicia having to deal with. Given where she's located in the wintertime, there's really nothing to hide her antenna. So that can be somewhat limiting. Let me pause for reset. So since I can't post these links here in the Echolink chat tonight, I will post them in the Facebook group over the weekend so that you gals can check it out. I have several links that I stumbled across. Please feel free to comment on that post if you have any other links that are helpful. I know Nisi will probably have a few and is going to post some additional information in the WildOpNet Facebook group. Also, for those of you that are already members of the WildOpsGroups.io group, please feel free to start a thread over there on digital modes, and we can keep the conversation going there as well. We have some gals that are members there that aren't able to make this net, so they're not members of the Facebook group over here. So please feel free to post there. But there are several good sites, and I will be sure and get those links up. I'll try to save them all on here so I can give them to you, including one where you can actually listen to some wave files of the different modes and see what they sound like, which is kind of cool. I was hoping to do a demo tonight, but I haven't had a chance to test it yet and see how it would come across Echolink. So maybe I'll save that for next week. I'll still post the link anyway. All right, do we have anyone else who have not checked into the net this evening yet and would like to do so? Please go ahead and come back with your call sign, name, and where you're located.
I have some info to share.
All right, Ann, please go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to let people know a post I saw this evening on Facebook from Anita, KB1, oh, what's her call sign? I can't think of it right this second. Anyway, Anita's in Nashua, New Hampshire, and she's a part of the Nashua Area Radio Society, N1FD, and they are hosting a ISS contact tomorrow for the kids at Hudson Memorial School. One of the students that's going to be asking questions is Kenzie. She's a 10-year-old. I've met her, K-E-1-N-Z-Y. She just got her extra last weekend. They're going to be streaming the contact. It's at noon tomorrow Eastern Time on the Nashua Area Radio Society N1FD Facebook page. So it's on the Young Ladies Radio League Facebook page, so perhaps many of you can see that. I did put something up earlier on the chat window here on Echolink, but don't know if anybody saw it. So just thought I'd put that information along, WB1ARU.
Awesome, Ann. Thanks so much for sharing that with the group, and glad you brought it up because I can't really follow the chats and do the net off my phone, unfortunately, so I'm unable to keep up with it this evening. But awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that with the group, and we appreciate it. That's really some cool stuff. Awesome. All right. Well, I didn't hear anybody else come back for check-ins. It looks like I've got everybody that I see on the list here on Echolink. So we're at the end of the net here, so please don't forget to visit and post the WildOpNet Facebook group, and you can continue net topics there. And we also encourage you to post anything ham radio related to the wildopsgroups.io page as well, including any questions that you have. It starts a nice string of conversation, and there's a lot of gals over there who have done a lot of different things in amateur radio who I'm sure would love to tell you about their experiences and help guide you along. We'd like to thank Lauren, KC9DHV, for live streaming and recording of this net whenever possible and making it available to all through YouTube. We'd also like to thank Alara for the use of this Echolink conference node, and everyone linked and listening, OMs and YLs alike, for your ongoing support of this net. This is Catherine, AC4YL, officially closing the WildOpNet, returning the Alara conference node back to normal use. 33 ladies, we'll catch you next week. Please feel free to come back in about an hour if you'd like to join Margaret for the MinnowNet right here on the Alara conference. We'll see you all next week. Take care. Have a great one.